Hi guys! As some of you know, I have been living in the Philippines for the past several years, and in today's video I'd just like to talk about some mistakes that I've noticed Filipinos making when speaking English. Here's a situation I've encountered here in the Philippines. Do you like beer? Yes. Here. No thanks, I'm driving. To understand the reason for this miscommunication, let's look at the difference between like and want. Here are some examples with the word like. They like football. We like our job. He likes blue. I like Tom Cruise. She likes Harry Potter. If you want to ask someone about their tastes, you can use a question like this. Do you like Tom Cruise? Does she like Harry Potter? Now, here are some example sentences using want. I want a cup of tea. She wants to go home. They want to get married. If you want to ask someone about their desires, you can use a question like this. Do you want a cup of tea? Do you want to watch this movie? Liking and wanting are not the same thing. For example, I like beer, but I don't want a beer right now. However, the word like can be used to talk about things you want. Here are some examples. I would like a cup of tea. She would like to go home. They would like to get married. Notice that in all of these sentences, we're saying would like. To understand why we do this, consider these sentences. If I had £1 million, I would buy a Ferrari. If I were Prime Minister, I would lower taxes. If I didn't have to work, I would read all day. These sentences all concern hypothetical situations. We're not talking about reality. We're describing what we would do in imaginary circumstances. You can ask hypothetical questions like this. What would you buy if you had £1 million? If you were Prime Minister, would you lower taxes? Note that although these questions are hypothetical, the answers do tell us something about the person's real desires. This person wants a Ferrari. This person wants lower taxes. Here are some more examples. Would you like it if I made you a cup of tea? Would you go home if you could? If he asked you to marry him, would you say yes? Again, although these are hypothetical questions, the answers tell you something about the person's real desires. Look again at this question. Note that this question is effectively the same as the question, do you want a cup of tea? We can make the question more concise by rephrasing it like this. Would you like a cup of tea? So, you can offer people things using do you want or would you like. But we only use do you like to ask people general questions about their tastes. You cannot offer people things using do you like. Here's another situation I've encountered in the Philippines. Are you coming to the beach? Yes, I'll just wear shoes. It's not a nudist beach. To understand the confusion here, let's look at the difference between wear and put on. Here are some examples using wear. The boy was just wearing shorts. At this restaurant, you need to wear a tie. My mother wears glasses. Now, here are some sentences using put on. I'll just put on my shoes. You'll need to put a tie on. She put her glasses on. We use wear to talk about our clothing. we use put on to talk about the action of getting dressed. If you use wear when you mean put on, it's confusing. Consider this example sentence from earlier. This sentence describes somebody who's wearing shorts and nothing else. He's just wearing shorts. If he were just wearing shoes, that would mean he was naked except for his feet. So, if you say, "I'll just wear shoes," that implies that you're going to remove your clothing and wear only shoes. What you should say is, "I'll just put on shoes." This tells us that you're almost ready and all that remains for you to do is to put on your shoes. Here's another situation I've encountered in the Philippines. Can I have a table for 2 at 7 p.m? I've already booked your table. Oh, how about tomorrow? To understand the confusion here, let's look at the word already. Here are some examples. When I got to the cinema, the film had already started. She asked him to pay the electricity bill, but he already had. When they went to sleep, it was already morning. In all of these examples, the word already is used to emphasize that something happened before you expected it to happen, or before you wanted it to happen. We could rephrase these sentences like this. The film started before I got to the cinema. He paid the electricity bill before she asked him to. The sun came up before they went to sleep. Filipinos often use the word already to express that something has happened quickly or that something is ready. So when she said, "I've already booked your table," she just meant that she had immediately fulfilled his request. However, he thought that she meant that she had already given the table away to another customer before he called. She should have simply said, "I've booked your table." Here's another situation I've personally encountered a number of times. I really like that show. What show? That show. What show? To understand the confusion here, let's look at the difference between this and that. Here's an example using both words. This album is my favourite. That album's my favourite too. Note that the two speakers are physically equidistant from the album, and yet one uses this and the other uses that. That's because the choice of whether to use this or that isn't really about physical distance. It's to do with your relationship to that thing. In this example, he uses this album because he's presenting the album to the other person. She says that album because she's not presenting the album. Now imagine that these two people start listening to the album. This is a great album. Yes, this is a great album. Here, both speakers use this because they're both currently experiencing the album. They continue the conversation like this. Do you like their other album? Yes, that's a great album. I agree, that's a great album. Here, both speakers use that because they're not currently listening to the album in question. They're simply imagining it. So, what caused the confusion in my original example? Let's look again. When she says that show, she means the show that they're currently watching. However, he thinks she means some other show, perhaps a show that she mentioned earlier. She should have said, I like this show, because she's talking about the show that they're both currently watching. The reason for her mistake is that she considers the TV to be physically distant from her, and she thinks that you're supposed to use that to refer to things that are physically distant from you. But that's wrong. Finally, let's talk about the phrase double check. I hear this phrase all the time, but often it's used incorrectly. So, what does double check actually mean? Does it mean check again? Does it mean check carefully? Well, yes, sort of, but I think it's better if you think of this word as meaning check twice. Here's an example. Once I had finished writing my essay, I double-checked it for mistakes. Here, we're describing reading through our essay to check for mistakes, and then reading through it again in case we missed some mistakes the first time. You can also use double-check to mean check again, but you should only use it if you have actually checked once before. Here's an example. Are all the windows closed? Yes, but I'll double-check. His answer implies that he's already checked the windows, but he'll check again to put his wife at ease. Usually, checking is not double-checking. It's just checking. Here's an example. Do we have any butter? Let me check. Here, he doesn't know if there's any butter, so he checks. He's not going to check twice, and he hasn't checked before, so there's no reason for him to say double check. I hope you found this video helpful. Remember to join my live stream every Saturday at 12 p.m. UK time. You can also follow the link in the description to my online school. As a member of Speak British English Academy, you'll have access to a suite of courses covering all aspects of British pronunciation, and you'll be able to join weekly live classes. I look forward to helping you with your English.